Jeepneys have been iconic centerpieces in Filipino culture, but they are now on the brink of extinction. Can Filipinos ever live without these rolling pieces of history? Jeepneys in the Philippines are considered the kings of the road. They are ubiquitous as they can be found everywhere from the busy streets of the nation's capital to the rural back roads and farms in the countryside. They are practically everywhere you need them to be. It's hard to imagine that this has not always been the case. Let's take a deeper look into the history of jeepney in the Philippines to understand how this unique vehicle has shaped Filipino culture and why is it important lifeblood of transportation and commerce as a whole. The word jeepney is a portmanteau of the words jeep and jitney. Jeeps are rugged military-purpose vehicles not unlike the ones we see in today's streets. It is a slang word for GP or general-purpose vehicles. Jitney is a term used for a small bus that ferries people around town for a small fare. It is now commonly known as dollar van. The jeepney itself only came to be after the II World War ravaged the Philippines. After World War II, most of the Philippines' infrastructure fell to ruin, and along with it the transportation systems in both urban and rural areas. The country's main transportation systems at the time, mainly cable cars, tranvias, and train systems, were severely damaged. With the country in disrepair and a population needing urgent means of transportation, ingenuity blossomed. There was a great surplus of jeeps and other military-purpose vehicles left behind by both American and Japanese troops. Enterprising individuals bought these vehicles in bulk from the military and converted them into transit vehicles to ferry multiple passengers. They placed 2 rows of seats on the rear bed, parallel to each other where passengers can ride along. It was a revelation as jeepneys were able to transport many passengers much faster and cheaper than any cable car could. Nowadays, jeepneys in Manila and major cities in particular form the backbone of public transportation and is very popular because of their convenience and relatively low cost and fare. Jeepney fare in the Philippines is dependent on the price of fuel. Colorful Philippine jeepney decoration became prevalent as well. The stock military vehicles were colored in drab livery and sometimes were just bare sheets of stainless steel. As with all gearheads, Filipinos can't leave their pride and joy well enough alone as it is. They had to personalize these beasts of burden with elaborate accessories and colors. It became a source of national pride and became the symbol of the Philippines, so much so that the 1964 New York World's Fair saw a colorful jeepney on the Filipino stage. The typical image of jeepney in the Philippines is often a vehicle adorned by multiple colored lights inside and out. Usually, the side body panels have elaborate works of art commissioned by the owner or operator. From classic works of art to simple portrait paintings of their family members. Jeepneys have been iconic centerpieces in Filipino culture, but they are now on the brink of extinction. What is the Jeepney Modernization Program? This is an initiative of the government that will put in new and safer jeepneys on the street and phase out the old and poorly maintained ones. This was initially introduced by the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board in 2015. On June 19, 2017, the Department of Transportation issued Department Order No. 2017-011, or the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program. It is a flagship program of the Duterte administration which envisions a restructured, modern, well-managed, and environmentally sustainable transport sector where drivers and operators have stable, sufficient, and dignified livelihoods while commuters get to their destinations quickly. It seeks to minimize outdated jeepneys in the streets, boost passenger safety, and prevent pollution by imposing an age limit for transport vehicles that are allowed to operate. There are 3 areas where the program will address. 1. New franchising system. Compared to the current franchising system where jeepney operators propose the routes of jeepneys, the new franchising system will be fully regulated by the government. 2. Improving PUVs to international standards. Here is a quick rundown of the most common and impacting upgrades imposed on the future of PUVs in the Philippines. Vehicles with combustion engines must have low emissions in compliance with the Euro 4 emission standards or better. Speed limiters, closed-circuit television, CCTV, camera for selected types of PUVs, dashboard camera, GPS, person with disability, PWD, friendly, comfortable seats, provision of Wi-Fi access. 3. Training for drivers. The training will serve as a refresher and a crash course on the technicalities of driving, safety measures, and proper etiquette in dealing with passengers. Here are some proposed designs of the modernized jeepneys.
This had been the design of the jeepney since 1947. It has been part of the Philippine history, the heritage, the culture. If we take out the classic design of the jeepney, it's just like taking away a piece of our identity.